everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back. We are continuing our lesson that we did on yesterday. Yesterday was session 1, lesson 14. Today is lesson 14, session 2. We are going to go through the homework that we did on today. Most of my classes finished the homework in class. The lesson was a fairly simple, easy lesson, so a lot of the kids did it in class, but I just want to go ahead and make that video anyway, just so that they can go back and review things if they need to review, and also to check their homework. So this should be a very quick, simple video. I do, again, apologize. I have to use the page because they have the shapes, and I can't draw those shapes on my blackboard. So hopefully you can see it. If not, try to zoom in. I just hope we can get through this area lesson quickly, because I hate the fact that sometimes you can't see the board. I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to see everything that I've done on the board. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, let me apologize ahead of time. I think I might be coming down with something. My voice is in and out, and I'm a little bit congested too. So again, if you can't hear me so well, I apologize for that as well. So this is the homework page they had. It started on page 309. Again, they have the vocabulary words on the side, which is area, and area is the amount of space that a flat shape covers. So that's how much space is inside of our shapes. And then we have the square unit. That's the unit that we measure our shapes with. So we're going to go ahead and jump in with number 1. So number 1 says to count to find each area. So anytime you have shapes like this, sometimes it may be a rectangle, it may be irregular shape or a non-rectangular shape. They will give you boxes sometimes, and it makes it easier to figure out the area because you don't have to use the ruler to measure. Although we can use the ruler to measure, which I'm pretty sure next week's lesson we're going to get into using that ruler and then actually doing some multiplication to figure out the area of these shapes. But for now, we're starting off small, and they're giving us boxes, and we're counting. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and count this first shape right here. So this is 1. And I tell my kids to go ahead and write the numbers in there. So in case you miscount, you can always go back and see where you missed your numbers at, or just to double check to make sure you numbered all shapes, or you counted all squares. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that means the area for this shape would be 14 square units. Okay, let's go to this shape. So now we're going to count the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now we know the area of this rectangle is 10 square units. Now let's go to number 2. Number 2 says, what is the area? So they're giving us this square on the side to let us know that what each one of these squares equals. So they tell you one of these squares, this is like a key. They're telling you one of these squares equal 1 square unit. So this is the same size as this, and this one equals 1 square unit. That means each one of these squares will equal 1 square unit. So that means I can count by ones when I count to see the area. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we know the area of this rectangle is 6 square inches. And this time we did inch blocks. Okay, so today we worked with 2 units. We worked with inches and we worked with centimeters. And the kids found out that centimeter blocks are smaller than inch blocks, and centimeter numbers tend to be larger than inch numbers because the blocks are so small. You need so many numbers of them to equal up to what the inch number is. So let's go ahead and keep going. Oh, I'm gonna have to erase this, guys, because again on the board I can't keep it on there. So I'm gonna clear out the screen and then I'm gonna move the screen up. Oh, that was the bottom. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Okay, there we go. Make it a little bigger. All right, so now this is the back side of that page. This is 310, and it says for number 3, what is the area of this rectangle? Again, they're giving us a key to let us know what each square is, and this is a centimeter square. So it says each one of those squares equals 1 centimeter. So if this square is the same size as these squares, then they would be the same amount. So all of these would be 1 centimeter. So we can go ahead and count by ones. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we now know that the area of this rectangle is 12 square centimeters. So you would write 12 square centimeters and make sure you put that unit. Okay, let's go to number 4. So if we go to number 4 says, Rhea says that the area of rectangle A is 9 square units. Do you agree? Explain. So this is rectangle A over here. Notice we have some big squares and we have some small squares. So the bigger squares are our inch squares because inches are bigger than centimeters. And the smaller squares, that's our centimeter squares. So we can't find out what the area of this particular rectangle is using these squares because they are not all the same size. In order for us to figure out the area, we would have to use all inch blocks or we would have to use all centimeter blocks. So the correct answer with this would be no, I do not agree. And they want us to explain why we don't agree, and it's because all of the blocks are squares. All of the squares are not the same size. Okay. And that is it. That's all you would put for number 4. So I'm going to scroll up to number 5. Now remember, when I scroll up, I'm going to have to erase what's here. So if you need to see what I wrote, you can always pause the video and look at it that way. That's the whole page. I want to make sure I get that whole page in there. Let's shrink it down a little bit. Let's see. Alright, maybe that will give me the rest of that page. Okay, so this is number 5. I'm sorry, let me get out the way. This is number 5. Number 5 says to fill in the blanks. Okay, so it says rectangle B has blank rows of squares. Now this goes back to when we were doing, you can look at this as an array. And when they start talking about rows, that's the first thing should enter your mind. Hey, I can think of this as an array. Remember, our arrays have rows and they have columns. So they have rows and columns. Remember, rows go side to side, or left to right, or right to left, either way you want to look at it. And our columns, they go up and down. So they want to know how many rows of squares. So if I look at this, I'm going to count the rows. 1, 2, 3 rows. So my answer would be 3. Now, the next question says there are blank squares in each row. Now I need to figure out how many squares I have in each one of these rows. So let's count them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one of these rows have 5 squares. So I'm going to put 5 here. Okay? So now let's go to number 6. Number 6 is actually going to go back to 5 and look at the things that we did in 5. So 6 says, how can you skip count to find the area of rectangle B? Write the area. So if we know that there are 5 in each row, they want us to do a skip count. This again goes back to our arrays when we do our skip count on the side, and when we know how many are in each row, we can skip count by that number. So if I know that there are 5 in each row, then I can go ahead and skip count by 5. So this would be 5, 10, 15. So now I know that the area is 15. So let's answer the question, how can you skip count to find the area in rectangle B? You can say, I can skip count by 5 because there are 5 in each row. And then it says to write the area. We now know that the area is 15. So the area is 15, and then you always put your units, square units. Okay, now you know Ms. Newman. Ms. Newman loves a check. So Ms. Newman just gonna go in and continue writing the numbers on the inside to make sure I do have 15. So let's go ahead and do that. So we stopped at 5, and I'm gonna continue my count. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that just lets me know that I did my skip count correctly and everything checked out. So that is perfect. That's great. So now we can move on to the last question on our homework, which is number 7. It says, what is the area of rectangle C? Okay, so then it says, how does this compare to the area of rectangle B? Then it says, are the rectangles the same size? Explain. So, that was a whole lot. That was actually 4 things they want us to do in one problem. So, anytime you have something that's requiring you a lot from you, I always tell you to do it sentence by sentence. Go step by step. So let's start with the first sentence. The first sentence says, or the first question asks us, what is the area of rectangle C? So let's figure out the area. Remember, if we don't know, we count the blocks. So let's count our blocks, or our squares. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So now we know that the area of rectangle C is 15. So that's what I'm going to put. The area of rectangle C is 15 square units. Don't forget to put those square units. Okay, so we've done our first question. Let's move on to the second question. It says, how does this compare to the area of rectangle B? So my area in rectangle B we found out was also 15. So B has 15, C has 15. So how do we say it compares? You can say both of them have the same area of 15. So we would say both rectangles have the same area of 15 square units. All right, don't forget the square units. Now let's go to the next question. The next question says, are the rectangles the same size? Okay, so now we're looking at things, how they look visually to us. When Ms. Newman look at this visually, Ms. Newman can see that I think automatically I can see rectangle B looks a little bit smaller than rectangle C. Rectangle B is going like this way, but rectangle C look like it's coming down further. But the main thing that Ms. Newman sees, I believe, because just looking at my squares, that they may have used centimeter squares for rectangle B, and they may have used inch squares for rectangle C. That's just my opinion. Everybody will have a different opinion. So basically, I would just say the squares in rectangle B are smaller than the squares in rectangle C. So let's answer the question. Are the rectangles the same size? No, because the squares there we go. The squares are smaller in rectangle, that's B, rectangle B. All right. And it asks us to explain, and basically all of this is our explanation. So that would be the last problem on homework. Again, it was a quick, simple, easy homework just to review what we did in class, which is our area and counting squares. Yesterday, we worked with the ruler and the squares. Today, we worked with just the squares. And just looking at, they introduced the centimeter squares to us today, because yesterday we worked with just inch squares. So that's basically what we did on today. That is it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure you send me a message in the PBIS app, or you can also drop it in the comments below. Have a great rest of your weekend. I know it's supposed to be really cold. Stay warm, and I will see you guys on, not gonna say Monday or Tuesday, because Monday is our review day. So we're gonna review this area lesson, and that's gonna go home. So make sure you review it when you go home for the quiz on Tuesday. So that means the next lesson will be on Wednesday, which will be lesson 15. And Ms. Newman will see you for another homework video on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your night and have a great weekend. Bye.